In today's video, I'm going to be breaking down the first two of the pro-level strategies for Performance Max campaigns I use to deliver incredible results for my own clients. If you're new here, I'm Daryl and I run an agency called Big Flare, where we've spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on Performance Max campaigns since they launched last year. Through extensive testing, we're now at a point where we've devised our own toolkit to use across our clients to drive growth for their e-commerce stores through PMax campaigns. And I'm so excited to start sharing these with you today. These first 2 points are things you should be on top of before you set up your first campaign. But this is part of a 3-part series, so make sure to subscribe if you want even more tips around how to optimize your campaigns once they're live. Let's jump straight into the first tactic, which I think is one of the most important factors that decides how successful your campaign will be: how you set your budgets. Assuming you're just starting out on PMax, it can be really difficult to know which is the right bid strategy to use. The bidding algorithm works really well and can deliver a good ROAS for you once it is out of learning phase. But getting it through that learning phase as quickly as possible and avoiding pitfalls such as wasted spend or not spending enough can be tricky. To begin with, I've had the most success starting out without a target ROAS in place. Instead, set it to maximize conversion value, but without a target ROAS and a fairly conservative daily budget. Avoiding the target ROAS at this stage will help ensure Google actually spends some money and does some testing. Later, after some conversion data has come in, we can implement that target ROAS to stabilize things. In order to move out of the learning phase, it's best to wait for either 30 days of the campaign running stably with no massive campaign changes, or 50 conversions, whichever one comes first. After this period, have a look at your results and take note of the natural ROAS that Google has decided on. Are you happy with this? Great! Now it's time to pivot over to the target ROAS bid strategy, keeping the same target ROAS from your previous results, but start to increase your budgets. Avoid making budget adjustments of more than 25% in one go, as these have the potential to throw the campaign back into learning period. And it's worth waiting at least 7 days between each change. This will allow the campaign to grow whilst minimizing risk of instability. Are you not happy with the ROAS from the max conversion value test? No problem, a slightly different strategy is required here. Instead of locking in the ROAS target and slowly scaling the budgets, you attack this the other way around. You slowly scale the ROAS target. Do this by setting a target ROAS just a bit above where it is currently. Leave it there until the results are stable, at least 7 days, but it sometimes could take 30+ days. Now, once you are happy it is stable, increase your ROAS target again by a small amount. Keep doing this until the ROAS is stabilized and at the level you want. When the campaign is at the ROAS level you need, then you can go back to the previous step and start scaling your budgets. This next one's a bit of a tricky point to get your head around at first, but it's the main factor that links Performance Max with your actual business performance, which is why we use it. The goals we've decided on around revenue, profit, and return on ad spend aren't just essential for developing your business strategy as we enter 2023, they're also powerful levers we can pull in Performance Max to help your business achieve its real goals. Getting this right is the difference between a hugely successful PMax campaign that delivers the revenue or profit you need versus wasting spend on an unprofitable campaign or missing out on sales you could have otherwise had. Once you've got through the initial learning phase with PMax and are seeing steady results, don't assume that the ROAS you are currently getting is actually the best one for your business goals. Instead, follow this process for aligning your ROAS target with your business goals, which starts with asking yourself this important question: do you want to prioritize profit or revenue? Unfortunately, more of one will almost always lead to less of the other in a mature Performance Max campaign. To get the answer to this question, you need to look at your wider business picture and the goals that you're aiming to achieve in the next 1 to 3 years. Are you more interested in growing revenue quickly and are prepared to sacrifice some profitability to get there? Or do you want your business to always be as profitable as possible and would prefer to have a slower pace of revenue growth as long as your profits are always high? Now, once you've decided this, it's time to understand the real relationship between profit, revenue, and ROAS on Google Ads. For revenue, it's simple. As ROAS goes up, revenue comes down. This is because when you increase your ROAS targets on Google, you are telling it to spend less by lowering the cost per click bids. This will increase your ROAS at the expense of showing your ads less often, and thus making less total revenue. When looking at gross profit, the relationship with ROAS is a bit more complicated. Up to a certain point, as you increase your ROAS, your gross profit increases. However, for every business, we see a critical point where if you continue to increase your ROAS past this, your gross profit will start to decrease. I call this critical point the ROAS sweet spot. Now there's one point on this graph that you can establish before your campaign goes live, your break-even ROAS. This is worked out with the formula 1 divided by your gross profit margin percentage. For example, if your GPM is 50%, then your break-even ROAS is 2 or 200%, i.e. 1 divided by 0.5, 1 divided by 50%. Now on the graph, you can also see a yellow line called the ROAS sweet spot. If profit is your priority rather than revenue, this is where you want to be. It's the only place you can be if you want to maximize profit. On the other hand, if you're looking to maximize revenue, you'll probably want to be in between the blue and yellow lines. However, to work out where the yellow line is, we need to deploy a test and learn method. The process for this is actually really simple. Just take things month by month. To start with, select a ROAS target that's above your break-even point and allow the campaign to run for a month. Analyze the data, look at spend, revenue, gross profit, and ROAS, and make sure you record it down in an easy-to-read table. The next month, repeat the process with a different ROAS target and compare the results. Look at what happened in terms of gross profit and revenue. Once you begin to put these results together in a report, in a nice, easy, simple table, you'll have an idea of the ROAS that performs best for you and your goals. That's what we'll be sticking with before we start to use other tactics to accelerate your sales. Now you've got the tools you need to launch your campaigns the right way, you should be able to avoid a lot of the pitfalls that we see advertisers falling into when they start to get comfortable with Performance Max. Now there are a whole lot more tactics I use to make sure my agency's clients see growth. So subscribe if you want to hear about how you can continue to grow sales even once you've settled on your budgets and targets. In seconds it gets better, so okay, so that should do the trick, and I'm going to start with you now. Okay, here we go. Know which is the right bid strategy to use. The bidding algorithm works really well and can... Okay, that's a bit wrong. It's not how to set your budgets, it's